So we're going to talk a little bit about touch to start, and touch is really everything. So as I was sort of reflecting on the things we're going to present to you guys, I just was thinking about how all of the domains run together and how everything that we're going to be talking about all kind of interlaces with each other. So even though we have these, this is touch, this is concept development, this is communication, it really is all so connected. And that sometimes makes it really powerful, but also sometimes makes it hard to kind of pull things out. So you'll notice I'll keep referencing back to things I've already said, and I'll try to keep it as clear and forward moving as possible. So to start, when you're really thinking about touch, like I said, touch is everything. And so when you're thinking about what touch means, we all as humans crave touch. You need to be connecting with other people. And that really helps kids with deaf-blindness as they learn to feel safe and respected through touch to really start to reach out and explore with their world. So when you're looking at what the tactile environment is and what really the considerations are for looking at what the tactile environment is, you can kind of split it up into 4 categories. So this first slide talks about the first 2. The first one is really around people. So how does the learner connect with people? When does the learner connect with people? And really when and how does the learner connect with those people in different places? And then the next thing is really looking at the materials. So how does the learner explore the materials? What are those materials that the learner connects with? And then how do they use them? Looking to this part, it's how is the environment arranged? So when you're thinking about sort of the place, so first it's the people, then it's the things, and then it's the place. So what is the environment that the learner is in? How is it organized? Is it organized to really make it accessible for kids with combined vision and hearing loss? And then depending on yes or no, the next thing you're really looking at is what are those adaptations? What are the ways that you might be able to enhance the environment to make sure that they're really able to explore and touch and manipulate and smell and taste all of the different things in their environment? So one thing to think about when really thinking about the early part, again, as I said, everything interlaces. So when thinking about early communication, something that's really big is about learning to understand and anticipate what's happening in the world. And part of that with kids with combined vision and hearing loss is thinking about touch cues. And so touch cues are when you use a gentle touch consistently and predictably in a certain part of the body to communicate something that's going to happen. And so really the purpose is to start to lay this foundation about, I'm letting you know that something's happening, then you can show me that you anticipate it, and then we're going to get engaged in that activity together. This really might help to reduce behaviors that you're seeing, and the behaviors are communicating to you, I don't know what's happening in my world. Like Carol said, if people can't understand and interpret what's happening, that adds a lot of stress. And so this is a really basic, simple way to just consistently and predictably provide these little touches and taps on certain parts of the body to let individuals know what's happening. And some examples of that are, you might touch somebody's nose before you wipe their nose, or you might, on this slide, it talks about how you might tap their hip really gently in the same spot every time before you lift up their legs to really let them know you're going to change the diaper. Some other ones listed are, you might just sort of gently tap on the arms, let you know that they're going to be picked up or stood up. Another way might just be to engage right here to say, hey, I'm here. Let's work together. Let's talk together. Another one, before you put on hearing aids, you might just tap the back of their ear to let them know that that's going to happen. Moving on, when we talk about touch, often we start with the hands, but really it's everywhere. It can be the feet, it can be the back, it can be the belly, it can be the head. The body of a learner with combined vision and hearing loss is really used for everything else. So it's used for their eyes and their ears as tools. Hands can be used as a voice and also as stress relievers. This picture shows a technique that we're going to talk about called hand under hand. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. And I'm going to go into it in a lot of depth, but I just want to pause here and look at the picture. You can see the intervener is modeling, she's modeling the sign for more, and then the girl has her hands on top to really feel and have the opportunity to see what the intervener is modeling. So hand over hand would be, if I use my hands to move someone else's hands to either write or to touch something or to do something. And that's often used as a teaching strategy. I have to be honest, I was taught to use this strategy. So it's not that it's a wrong strategy. It's just that for kids with combined vision and hearing loss, and really with so many kids that I've worked with that have a lot of complex needs, really hand over hand often, leads kids to kind of check out. They get real passive because you're really manipulating their hands. So they're like, well, I don't need to do this. I can just, let my hand be moved, and I can be looking somewhere else, or I can be doing something else. And also it can be really aversive, like we talked about before, with the hands being eyes. To have your hands manipulated in a certain way, that can be really tough. So you might see, kids pulling their hands away or sort of curling in to not make their hands available for learning. Hand underhand is just such an opposite strategy. It's such an incredible strategy to use, where hands are really guided from under and allows the child to reach out and explore with you and participate as they choose. It's often what I hear when I'm talking about hand underhand. What I myself felt when I started was, how do I get the child to work with me? How do I get them to come with me? And I didn't quite know how to start that process. And so, what I've learned in working with these kids and what these kids have taught me is, by making my hands available and connecting, I almost call it like a listening position, establishing this listening position. So putting my forearm next to the child and sort of starting to explore things, they feel my arm moving and think, hey, what is that arm doing? I'm going to reach out and maybe join. As you slowly start to develop that trusting relationship, kids will more and more give you their hands to do some hand underhand exploration together. And so some of the pointers to think about are, you really want to guide the hands from under and offer the invitation to join. As you are doing things throughout your day, as you're putting on your shoes, as you're brushing your teeth, as you're writing, as you're reading Braille, just invite them to come with you and watch that with you. Just keeping in mind, hands as eyes, they'll learn best when they're using their hands on our hands to learn how we use our hands to see. And to really honor their hands as telling us things. And so if they move their hands away, they're telling us, hey, I either need to process this for a minute. This isn't something that's interesting to me. I need to take a break. All these different things. And so really take their communication through their hands as ways that they're telling us what they need and what they want. And then you can always come back and give them that opportunity to join back with you again. And it really invites them to explore and learn. And it actually is also really easy to fade, because as you are able, if this is the kid's hand and this is your hand, as you're able to pull your hand away, they're totally able to then explore and manipulate the object all by themselves. Whereas when you're using your hand on top of the kid's hands, it's harder to sort of figure out how to fade that prompt. And so hand underhand also is really great in terms of being able to fade those prompts. So why? I've kind of talked about this already, so I won't harp on it too much, but really thinking about, what it means for us to touch other people's eyes or other people's heads. Would I ever hold somebody else's head to show them where to look, or, move their eyes to a certain position? That just feels so invasive. And for kids who have combined vision and hearing loss, invading their hands is sort of the same thing. And so really it's their hands, I talk about the empowerment a lot. So empowering their hands to be communicators. And so here's an example, and I love this example because it's so powerful that dad is teaching his son how to crawl. And that's a super complicated task to teach somebody who can't see or has limited vision. And so using hand underhand strategies, he's put his hands under his son's hands, and then he's also using his whole body to crawl with his son to help him get across the room and up to the couch. And this woman that's on this slide, her name is Barbara Miles, and I'm not sure that I'll get the story completely right. And you'll see her say this on the video if you go to look. But she tells the story about a girl who came to school. She was wearing this huge, beautiful barrette in her hair that she was so excited about. And she said to her teacher, like, hey, look at my barrette. I'm so excited. And the teacher said, that is so beautiful. And she said, you haven't seen it yet. And the teacher, because she was so in tune with her student, she said, oh, you're right. And then she touched it and really felt it. And then said, oh yeah, I can see that it's really beautiful. Just remembering the hands being how you explore and how you learn. It's just such a shift for us, because we are, like Carol said, so much of our learning is through our sense of vision. It's such an enormous shift for us. And just keeping that story in mind, and the video you just saw of Joel will really help to understand where these kids are coming from.